boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
He's going to get knocked out anyway, so it doesn't matter what gloves he's wearing. His gloves are very, very thin, let's say, and unpadded.
Heavyweight boxing, particularly with someone like Fabio, you can't switch off, and he knew that from the first 12 rounds. Some questions about the fly gloves that are used when they're customised and the damage they can cause. I spoke to the doctor after, and he said no boxing glove should be able to cause the type of injury that Fraser suffered. That was a big talking point in the week for us, and not taking anything away from what Fabio did, because it was superb. But the damage it caused, we do want to look at those particular gloves and how they're customised. And it's been a problem in boxing for a while. I remember a lot of fighters been talking to me about this. But as I say, it was a big topic during the week. And for the official doctor to say a boxing glove shouldn't be able to do that was a worrying sign.
Huh? What?
Let me say my part.
Where do we start? July 2021. Confusion surrounds the potential status of the Fly brand of boxing gloves after the WBC stated that the brand are not to be worn any contest sanctioned by the governing body due to safety concerns. In an email sent to various national and local boxing commissions, as well as various managers and promoters on July the 14th, a copy of which has been seen by Boxing Social, WBC President Mauricio Suleiman stated, as a matter of primary safety priority until further consultations, the brand Fly of boxing gloves are not to be worn in any World Boxing Council boxing match. There is a delicate report which we are not attaching to this communication, which shows extreme defects which can result of great danger to the combatants. That's how they wrote it, can result of great danger to the combatant. The considerable wear and shape, change and immunization of padding which occurred radically changed their shape. It is a matter of great concern and gravity, as well as the lack of support those particular gloves offered, causing considerable pain and injuries to the hand, and also their rapid faded discoloration during the bouts. They spoke about discoloration of Derek Chisora's gloves when he was using the Fly gloves brand. The World Boxing Council has worked hand in hand with a number of glove specialists and manufacturers, insisting on the highest overall quality and integrity of design across the spectrum, with safety as the number one consideration. The very present and future health of boxers is at stake. Suleiman's email includes a report and images relating to a May the 21st Bridgerweight elimination contest between Evgeny Romanov and Dmitry Kudrashov for the WBC silver belt, in which both boxers wore Fly KYO 10-ounce gloves. Ahead of the report, Suleiman states, "We would like all of you to please carefully and fully read the account below and look at the photos which graphically as well as starkly illustrate the problem at hand. It's something which must be rectified without delay. The WBC will never accept second best in this matter." The gloves of both fighters post-fight were in very bad condition and could be easily rolled. The grammar is pretty bad, people. It says the padding looked as even, didn't hold the form of the gloves. The paint has worn off the gloves. After the fight, Romanov had a suspicious, once again, bad grammar. After the fight, Romanov had a suspicious to have a broken arm, but x-rays didn't show it. Romanov says that never in his life he had such pain without having a broken arm. According to the comments of the boxers, the gloves didn't protect the arms. The amount of horsehair and synthetic material were not sufficient for this goals. Boxing Social approached various boxing governing bodies worldwide for their reaction to the communication from the WBC. At the time of writing, the British Boxing Board of Control still features Fly gloves on its list of approved gloves. And of course, they sanctioned the card on Saturday, where Wardley defended his British heavyweight title against Fraser Clark. So Fly gloves are on their list of approved gloves. The board simply told Boxing Social the British Boxing Board of Control are in communication with the manufacturer at the present time. Now, the article I quoted, Hatman Strikes Back did a video on it a few years back when the story broke with the Evgeny Romanov-Kudrashov fight. And he suggested that the WBC could be a little biased against Fly because they're a British manufacturer. Other manufacturers have come into question and the WBC hasn't banned them. And is that perhaps why they haven't took action against Fly, the British board? I pressed the link called the FABIO Wardley Fly Glove Collection, And what I encountered was the Fly Glove webpage with Daniel Dubois flattening out AJ, and he wore them gloves. Daniel, the IBF heavyweight champion, he's the poster boy. Daniel and Fabio, they don't have the standard Fly gloves. Their ones are custom made for them. And that was also a concern to Ben, because when they custom make the gloves, you know, they're taking the padding out of one glove and putting it in another, and the consistency of how much padding should be in a customized glove is an issue. In saying that, they're not the only brand who do custom made gloves. The board passed the gloves fit to wear for AJ Dubois and for Fraser Clark, Fabio Wardley. Some are going to make more of it than perhaps they should. People are going to say, I've never seen injuries like that in the Wardley-Fraser Clark fight, where Fraser had a dent in his head, cheekbone and jaw. In fact, there was 3 breaks around that region of his face. I don't think we can attach blame on Daniel or on Fabio Wardley, but perhaps the Fly Gloves brand needs to be looked at, like Ben Shalom says. And I'm sure it will do. I don't think that's the last we'd hear of this story for a little while. Saturday gone, a lot of stuff went down with the gloves. Eubank, when selecting his gloves, said he uses winning gloves, which are said to be a thinner brand of gloves like Fly.
Fighting and winning. I always fight in winning gloves. They're comfortable, they give good protection. That's what we use. It's because I've kicked many asses with those gloves on my hand.
Ben Whittaker apparently changed his gloves. I don't know which brand. He changed his gloves at the last minute. What was that all about? All props due to Liam Cameron. I don't know if an immediate rematch is going to happen. Ben Whittaker still hasn't surfaced to address the public. But Whittaker, maybe he got stage fright, last minute nerves. He didn't seem right in there. In saying that though, I think Liam Cameron would still give him a lot of problems, even if Ben went in 100%. To sum it up, Ben Shalom wouldn't be talking about Fabio Wardley's gloves if Fraser Clark won, would he? So we'll draw a line under it for now.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
Rumors them spreading.
Rumours that Joshua Boatsi was unhappy at Boxer and was heading to Queensbury have been debunked by Dwayne Sinclair from Team Boatsi. He's staying at Boxer for the foreseeable future.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
So there's going to be a purse bid on the 29th of October between Sam Goodman, the challenger from Australia, to take on Naoya Inoue, the undisputed 122-pound champion. Now, Inoue's #1 challenger with the WBA, Marajan Akhmadaliev, has had to watch Louis Neary and TJ Dehaney get title shots as the WBA gave Inoue an exception, a pass. But Marajan and his attorney are suggesting that in the rotation of challengers, Akhmadaliev, as the WBA challenger, is up next, and they're prepared to go to court. Akhmadaliev would tell you he wants to fight Inoue. He doesn't want to get him stripped. He wants to beat Inoue. That's what he would say. A lot of people were disappointed that Inoue didn't take up the Saudis' offer to fight Akhmadaliev on Riyadh season. Instead, he opted to fight TJ Dehaney in Japan in what was a routine one-sided win. And perhaps Akhmadaliev will be a routine one-sided win because Inoue is a good fighter. The Inoue fans are saying, however, that with Sam Goodman being an IBF challenger, they may well just strip Inoue if he doesn't take the fight next, because the IBF have a reputation of being strict that champions take on their mandatories. And also added to that, Sam Goodman is the WBO mandatory for Inoue. I tell you what, my head's spinning from trying to work out who's the mandatory from which sanctioning body. So we'll definitely draw a line out of this one.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
Former British middleweight champion with a record of 25, 5-1, 20 inside the distance, Liam Williams has retired from boxing. He's concerned about CTEs, saying he's had 4 concussions in 18 months. He wasn't happy with his last performance against Hamza Shiraz, where he was stopped in a round, and the people around him, I'm guessing family and his team, are saying it's over, and he's took the hint.
You better take a hint.
He said he don't want to be in boxing just for the money. Chronic traumatic encephalopathy is a condition that can only be diagnosed post-mortem once you're dead. It gradually gets worse and leads to dementia. 2 back-to-back losses in 2021 and 2022. First, he challenged for the WBO middleweight title against Bubo Andrade. He was flawed, and although he had his moments, he took a bit of a beating. Then came the Eubank fight, where he was flawed several times. And Liam, a tough, robust Welsh kid, always shook punches off a bit better than that. In this fight, he looked very vulnerable. His punch resistance didn't look good. Eubank took his foot off the gas, and the fight went the distance. After, he had to go to hospital for medical checks. His left eye, as you can see here, was completely shut. And he pondered what he was going to do next. It looked like the end, but he came back 2 wins over so-so opposition. And then came the, what was quite frankly, disdainful treatment at the hands of Hamza Shiraz. Down twice, the fight doesn't last 1 minute. I guess there's literally nowhere to go. Liam Williams was exciting, a good puncher, former British champion, former world title challenger, so he didn't have a bad career. Hopefully he made a few quid out of boxing, and he can go enjoy his family. He's very young, 32. There's a lot you can do. My 2 best memories of Liam Williams winning fights was against Joe Mullender and Atlantis Fox. When he put the beating on people, he really put a beating on people.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
Now, I didn't know all the circumstances to Lawrence Okolie vacating his WBC Bridgerweight title. He's moving up to heavy, but I'm going to imagine he's not going to weigh much more than the 224 that he weighed in to take that Bridgerweight title from the Pole, Lucas Rozansky. What I didn't realize was the interim champion is Kevin Lerena. And rather than face Lerena, Okolie's moved up to heavyweight. Now, I'm not going to call it a duck, but I think a lot of people would have liked to have seen that Lerena fight. Although he lost to Justice Hooney at heavy recently, just after his mum died, he hurt Hooney late in the last round and gave him the fright of his life. And Lerena still has a lot of credibility from when he had Daniel Dubois on the floor 3 times before losing in the 3rd. The first time, in my opinion, Okolie gets an attractive opponent, he moves up to heavy. I don't get that. Anyway, Lerena, like Lawrence Okolie, is asking Deontay Wilder if he'd like to challenge for his Bridgerweight title. And I just don't see it happening, but there's no harm putting it out there.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
Liam Cameron rematch.
First off, we need to assess when Ben can actually get back in the ring.
Do you think it could be quite a long layoff then?
I don't know. As I said, he's fought 5 times in the past year. Prior to that, he had quite an extensive period out and maybe one before it, and it was all to do with this. So fingers crossed, he'll be okay. We come through rehab and we can start again. There'll be changes to his team and there'll be changes to his mindset and how it's going. And as I say, sometimes you need a reality check.
Sounds like Ben Whittaker is going to get the Adam Azim wrapped in cotton wool treatment. Ben Shalom swerved that immediate rematch talk like a pro, but he's been pretty good at that, talking his way out of his fighters taking certain fights. Sky have invested a lot of money in the 2 Olympians, Ben Whittaker and Fraser Clark. And right now, after Saturday, we're in damage control. There will be no immediate rematch. As I predicted on Twitter, no immediate rematch with Liam Cameron. It's a stupid fight to take, and everybody knows it. I'm sure Ben Shalom and other people around the situation have told Ben Whittaker, look, you've just got to eat it right now. But don't go to that camera, don't say nothing. Liam Cameron is the last person he wants to see. Someone with, nearly 4 times the amount of fights that Ben has had. Never been stopped, tough, been through hard times, good size, fractionally shorter than Ben. The reach is very similar. And Frank Warren especially after signing Liam Cameron on the strength of that performance against Ben Whittaker, would love to build their name on the back of beating up Ben in an immediate rematch. There's nothing in it for Ben. Yeah? You know, Simon Jordan and TalkSport are asking to see x-rays of Ben Whittaker's injuries. Like that would satisfy them. You know, people are calling for an immediate rematch. In my opinion, his confidence isn't where it needs to be to take that rematch. And if he takes an L, he's not going to get no credit for him. They're just going to call him a hype job. If there was a good time to duck a fight, now is better than any. Whittaker needs to take a few more fights, develop his resume, work on his craft, and if Cameron is still relevant in a year or so, then yeah, go take the fight. If the worst consequence of not taking that immediate rematch is a lot of criticism from boxing fans and media, Ben Whittaker is going to have to develop thick skin. Ben Shalom also said there's going to be changes to the team. Who are we talking about? Joby Clayton, his trainer, who I believe has been there since he was an amateur. So there's going to be a lot of restructuring there. If they're reshuffling the team, like I suspected, there's disharmony in that camp. Changed his gloves at the last minute. There's something not quite right there. No excuse for how he performed. And Ben Shalom said he fought 5 times this year, I guess suggesting that he's fatigued after doing all them training camps. He actually fought 4 times this year, including the Liam Cameron fight. But I was always of the opinion that Ben Whittaker's opponents were all right. He hasn't even had 10 fights yet. He's had 9 fights. His opponents were all right. Don't rush him. He's still got to develop his identity as a boxer. But, you know, that Saudi bag, I'm guessing, caught Ben out. Both Bens. Caught both of them out. And let me tell you something about modern day boxing fans. Most of them are total idiots. Lyndon Arthur has a 24-2 record with 16 inside the distance. His only 2 losses are to Anthony Yarde, who he beat in the first fight, and Dimitri Bivol. Liam took Lyndon to a split decision. It's like what Roger Mayweather said. Most people don't know crap about boxing. They just got big mouths, but they don't know crap about boxing. Most of the analysis, short-sighted as anything. 3 blind mice. I said, this is going to be by far Ben Whittaker's toughest fight. How many people saw that Lyndon Arthur, Liam Cameron fight on Channel 5? Not many, I'm guessing. I saw it. I watched it. And here's the thing, yeah? Cameron's had a lot of time out of the ring. So you go from that Lyndon Arthur camp to this camp here. He was going to be a lot fitter and a lot more confident. After taking a former world title challenger, somebody who's beat Anthony Yarde, this was very unlikely to be an easy fight. If most of the media knew what they were talking about, they would understand it's not the crisis that a lot of people are saying. It was a tough fight against a very tough fighter, a very competent, capable fighter. Big deal. Sky paid well over the market price for Ben Whittaker and Fraser Clark. So you better believe they're going to be cautious, especially with Fraser. Like Adam Azim. He's talking about he doesn't need Dalton Smith, he needs me. Dalton Smith went over to Saudi Arabia, weekend gone, asking Ben Shalom why either he or Adam Azim will take the fight. That's how much Dalton Smith wants it, but you can't force Adam Azim into the ring. And Ben Shalom and Adam Azim are going to do it at their pace, and that's that. He fights OHARA Davis at the Copper Box on Saturday, and he looked way bigger than OHARA Davis. It looks like Azim is filling out now. He's a lot taller than OHARA. OHARA's coming off that 1-round knockout loss. Ben Shalom and Boxer have been trying to stir OHARA up to sell the fight a little more. But OHARA's been reluctant to do that, you know what I mean? He knows why they brought him in. They brought him in to be a stepping stone. OHARA's not stupid, so he's not going to do no more than what he's contracted to do than what he's getting paid to do. But eventually, Adam Azim is going to have to fight a live body. Whether that's Dalton Smith, they were talking about making the Harlem Eubank fight. As for the, he doesn't need Dalton Smith needs him. Well, there's still tickets to sell for the Copper Box. It's a 6,000 capacity venue. It's light work for the likes of Johnny Fisher. This kid ain't sold it out. I don't know how much tickets are left, but there's definitely tickets left. So yeah, it's a good idea not to rush your prospects into stuff they're not ready for. But eventually, you got to let them off the leash. I expect Adam Azim to outpoint OHARA Davis and possibly stop him late. That's what I expect to see. If you can emulate what Barroso did, they'll be having a big party there at the Copper Box. But the Copper Box is in Hackney. That's where OHARA Davis is from. So him being a Hackney boy is going to be keen not to get mashed up in the ends. So he could offer some stubborn resistance. I'm looking forward to it. I don't expect OHARA to win. Been very inactive, coming off the knockout loss. I expect Adam to use his reach and height advantages. He's faster than OHARA. I don't expect it to be no crash bang type boxing from Adam Azim, because that would just be stupid, because OHARA has very heavy hands. It'd be just stupid to fight that type of fight. OHARA's got the kind of power, if he catch you early with them heavy hands, them shots stay with you. I don't think he's going to find it hard to find OHARA and build up points, but can't take liberties. Definitely wants to be using his feet in this fight here. I was talking about height and reach, but he probably hasn't got longer arms than OHARA. OHARA got some long arms. It's a good card. Got Dan Aziz on there. Michael McKinson. He's in a good fight. I see Shannon Courtney on there. As he signed Shannon Courtney. And of course, Anthony Yarde returns to the ring. He takes on the 30-year-old 17-1-0, 7 inside the distance, Ralph's Villikans. That's the to be announced they were talking about. And that'll be the domestic scene covered for the weekend. The situation with Anthony Yarde and Frank Warren is there's a matching rights, which Frank has forfeited for this fight here. But if this fight doesn't go through, Frank still has the matching right. And then Yarde will be able to be truly a free agent. He's not signed to Ben, and Yarde actually didn't write off working with Frank Warren again. He said he didn't want to leave Frank Warren, but, you know, there was extenuating circumstances. And Frank himself said, yo, if the opportunity comes up again to work with Anthony, they'll look into it. I'm not surprised Anthony Yarde didn't want to leave Frank. I know Frank didn't want Anthony Yarde to leave either. You know what I mean? I know Frank Warren. And Yarde is one of the few people I've seen leave Frank and Frank actually look hurt. And I think he done some good stuff for Anthony. I think Anthony knows that. And I think Anthony respected Frank. But business is business.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.